Hi, everyone, and welcome to the live Q&A session. My name is Jackie Rajuai, and I'm joined by some of our partners and my fellow colleagues. I'm joined by Amanda Bishop, Ankush Sood, Pratima Joshi, and Mike Makwela. Thank you all for your great questions. We're very excited to answer them, but it's not too late. You can still submit your questions right below this video. But let's just jump in and get started. All right. So my first question is for Ankush. That's come from Scott H, who was watching. His question is: how do plus codes work when several roads stack on each other vertically? The example he gives is the Cross Bronx Expressway, which has two decks, crosses over a lot of streets, including the West Side Highway.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott, for the question. It's actually a very good question, right? And this is most of us might have seen like when we visit mountains or hills, there are curvy roads, and we always see like houses almost like vertically stacked. So plus codes are based on lat long, right? And so if there is any kind of two points which are like perfectly aligned and on top of each other, they would have the same lat long and eventually have the same plus code as an address, right? But if you look in reality, that's not actually the case. All right. Even if you have houses which are kind of, say, almost like vertically stacked, but there is still a difference of, say, a couple of meters, from in their entrances and so on and so forth. So plus codes are highly precise, right? And if the difference in the entrances is around a couple of meters, there is absolutely they will have very distinct and unique plus code as an address for each property, right? So in fact, Pratima and her team Shelter, they have assigned addresses to dwellings which were located on a hill in Pune. And when we went and tested it out, it actually worked very well, right? So with that kind of an example, we are very sure that in most of the cases which we see in real world, plus code should work fine.
Thanks, Ankush. Let's jump to the next question, which is for Pratima. Pratima, this question is coming from Richard. And Richard wants to know if you plan to use Dressmaker in the future.
That's not such an easy one to answer. We have used the Dressmaker, but as I said earlier, we all have already developed a whole system of mapping settlements, and we found that it was not so difficult to integrate, generate plus codes and integrate that with our ongoing systems. So, looking at times, which is of essence, and speed, we don't foresee using a Dressmaker in the near future, at least until until maybe there comes a time where we feel that maybe that's it's going to make things faster and sort of efficient for us. Right now, we would like to stick to the method that we have.
Thanks, Pratima. Jumping to the next question, which is for Amanda, and this is coming from Cindy. Cindy asks, do you guys think it's possible that the long, lengthy addresses system one day could be replaced by plus codes? Like in the future, while filling out forms, instead of writing addresses, you could write your plus code instead. Amanda?
Yeah. I see in the Q&A, I saw that Alex from Addressing the Unaddressed did give an answer here that, in his opinion, it'll be quite difficult for longer formal addresses to ever be replaced. And I think, we certainly agree with that. What I will say is that we do think it's very possible that people will start using plus codes for filling out forms, as you mentioned here in this question. And one of the examples that make us excited or even more hopeful that that'll be the case is that in Ireland, they rolled out this system called Air Codes, and it uses a similar short code that's unique to each residence and business, just like with plus codes. And we're hearing from our colleagues there in Ireland that people have become kind of habituated now to realizing how much easier it is to just write their error code in on a checkout form or an address field rather than their whole address, and that has been working as a way to get deliveries or instead of writing out that whole address. So we're hopeful, and we do think that's likely to happen in the future. Back to you, Raj.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda, and thanks for the question. So let me move to Mike and Pratima, and Mike, I'll start with you. So in the panel, you mentioned that residents have started being able to receive some deliveries using their plus codes. How were you able to ensure that those drivers knew how to use the plus codes to reach the houses?
Thanks, Jackie. So we called the for the service, okay, and we gave them the address, and we said, please use your phone to get to where you want, where we're requesting you. So it was quite funny because they were expecting a total, address, the usual address. And when we said, no, use this, you will see, you can test it now. And indeed, it points you exactly to where they needed to deliver. So yeah, we could demonstrate and prove that plus codes are very accurate and very precise.
Thanks, Mike. Pratima, same question. How were you able to ensure that the address is worked for the residents?
I think it was pretty much what Mike said, because whenever people tried this out, and for instance, if there was a delivery from Amazon or from Swiggy, normally the delivery person does call up and say that, okay, we will be delivering. And then that's the time when the receiver tells the person that we want you to use this specific address. Please put it on your map and make sure that you come straight to the doorstep and deliver it. And I think much to the amazement of the delivery person, it actually brought him right to the doorstep of the family that had placed the order. So it works really very, very well.
Thanks. I see some questions that have just come in again. So for Amanda, probably, is it possible to share the technical roadmap for plus codes?
Well, it's planning season for us here at Google. So my managers are asking me the same thing. I think at a high level, you heard me in the previous session mention that we're starting to experiment with something called self-addressing. So it's early stages still, but the idea is that we want to provide people with a way to generate plus codes more easily for themselves. So obviously we're working a lot with a Dressmaker, and there's still some improvements to be made, where every deployment that we do and partnership that we do, we work closely, just like with these partners here, to learn how to make that product better. I would say, but on the self-addressing side, we're much earlier on. We've been doing a Dressmaker and addressing projects with partners like these for many years, and self-addressing is just getting started. And so, yeah, I can't really necessarily say much more than that. We're still figuring it out. We do a lot of user research and really try to understand what do users want from the system. We've definitely heard loud and clear that one of the main reasons they want an address is to receive deliveries and to help get other people to their homes. And you've heard this from our partners as well. And so I would say look for more to come there on figuring out how we can solve that user problem.
Thanks, Amanda. Tony, I see you asked another question. You wanted us to provide the link to apply for the addressing program. I think we put the link just below your answer. But Ankush, do you want to talk more about the questionnaire for applying for Dressmaker?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as Raj said, so the questionnaire is, the link to the form is already there. But typically, when you open the questionnaire and you start filling in, so there are a couple of things that we look out before we kind of engage in any project, right? Things like whether or not you have approvals from the authority to kind of do addressing in an area. Do you have the requisite resources to create addresses at scale? And then like, what's the scope of your overall project in terms of, are you only thinking about covering, residences or businesses? As in, is it like you're talking about a small locality or a city or a state? So these things come into consideration. So yeah, so I strongly encourage you to kind of open the link and fill out the details in the form, and you will definitely, hear back from us, post that. Yeah, thanks.
All right. Oh, I see questions are coming in fast. Keep adding more. We're looking forward to answer them. I see a question has this coming from Emeka. So Emeka, your question is where we have wrong naming and overlapping names in other communities and villages. How fast can this be corrected? So you mentioned you have reported this before, and the community name has not yet been changed. But this is a small village within a larger community. Ankush, I'll stay with you. Do you want to talk a bit more about giving us feedback?
Sure. So I think there are two things to it, right? So when you're talking about community name or the village not getting updated or it's wrong or overlapping. So obviously one thing is like where it is wrong. Is it on which product you are seeing it, right? And I can speak for Google Maps just in case if there are issues that you have seen. There are ways to reach out to you within reach out to us within the product itself. So please escalate that, and we'll look into that. When it comes to plus codes, as you know, plus codes are based on latitude and longitude. So even if you assign a plus code address, within a locality and say the locality name is say misspelled or not entirely correct, you'll still get geocoded to the right location when you share it with any known person or to an e-commerce company as well to get something delivered at your doorstep. So from that perspective, plus code is like more robust, right, in terms of making sure that the person who's supposed to reach your doorstep reaches your doorstep.
Thanks, Ankush. And I'll just add on to that, Emeka, there's actually a session this Friday, I believe, tomorrow, by the Geodata Upload team. So also you can let your authorities know that they can submit that data to us as they are the authoritative holders of administrative names, and we'll be able to update that. But hopefully you can join the session tomorrow, being held by Holly, my colleague, and you can learn more there. So I'll come back to you, Mike and Pratima. In the panel, we have mentioned that we worked with local communities and the local authorities for the buy-in to be able to do the addressing project. But could you provide more information on what that actually entails? And maybe Pratima, I'll begin with you.
All right. So, we have been working with data for nearly 2 decades now, and spatial data. Whenever we have worked, in communities or, with the government, we've always made sure that all the stakeholders are on board as to, why this is being done and what would be the method in which it would be done. We also go one step forward and make sure that we have a memorandum of understanding drawn up with the urban local body so that they are very clear about roles and responsibilities. Because one of the things that we insist is that whenever we do data, we want them to be validating that data also on the ground. So when we, did all the spatial data and when they leveraged it actually for delivering services like sanitation, I thought, that really triggered a lot of not just interest, but confidence in the data. So when we approached them about plus codes and said that, this is going to be really working very well for you if you integrate it with your system, they started, looking at it with a keener eye. And I think during the pandemic, especially, they realized that having this kind of an addressing system was going to help them track and monitor COVID patients far more efficiently in communities where, as we said earlier, thousands of families sharing just one address just doesn't work for the government. So we make sure that everybody understands what they're getting into before we actually start the work on the ground. And I think that's probably been one of the main reasons why we've not encountered too many issues on the ground when we've actually started working.
Thank you. Actually, I realize we're just running out of time. I would have loved to hear Mike's answer, but I hope folks look forward to us publishing more information about the work with PlanAct. So that will be coming soon. And if we didn't get to your questions, we will actually be able to respond within the Q&A session panel just below this. But stay tuned for the upcoming sessions of the Indigenous Peoples and Local Communities panel, followed by participatory mapping with Google Earth. Have a great summit, and thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Thanks a lot.